After the 3-month period, I attended a metaphysical group just 2 short blocks away, Dr. Schaefer's group. And he would call the students up to the front and ask them to give a talk to the group. And when first times he called me, I told him I didn't want to go up. And so he bypassed me. And then after he stopped asking me, I realized, this is silly. The only reason why I wasn't doing was the old tendencies remain, but the effectiveness of them is totally gone. The compulsiveness is done away with, even though the tendency remains. It's like a burnt rope. It looks like a rope, seems to be a rope, but it has no strength. You go to pick up a burnt rope, it just falls apart. And so seeing that, I volunteered to go up and give a talk. First time in my life, there I am up in front of a group of about 60 people, talking on frequencies and vibrations. And I got up there, and I was so surprised. I wasn't nervous. I was looking at them. They were looking at me. And as I was talking, I had a second thing going on in the background. Gee, this is easy. I never knew it was this easy. And that was my first experience in my lifetime of getting up in front of a group and talking. That was probably 1953. The supersensitivity drops away because your ego drops away. Whereas before I was hearing them all the time. If I heard someone coming out with an anti-Semitic remark or anti-any other remark, I saw them, I had compassion for them, I saw them hating. So I just had a feeling of more love for them because they needed it. The only one they were hurting with their anti was they themselves. They can't hurt anyone else with it. Unless the other one else wants to feel hurt. And once I was on Madison Avenue or Fifth Avenue, I forget which, with the most beautiful and the very best dressed women of the world go shopping during the daytime. I looked at them, looking in the windows of those very expensive shops. And I looked at them, and I looked at the mannequin, and I looked at them again, and I looked at the mannequin again, and I did it a third time, and I couldn't see any difference. I said, holy mackerel, and that's what I thought was beautiful. They're just mannequins. They're interested only in the skin, the outer skin of their body, dressing it, pampering it, spending untold sums of money on it. And the only real beauty is they themselves, not the outer skin. So what became beautiful to me was a person of high love, the soul of a person. And I remember an incident where I was saying to 2 fellows of a girl I had known, gee, isn't she beautiful? I could tell by their looking at me that was something wrong. I said, well, isn't she? And they shook their head, no. And I looked again, and I says, oh, I see what you mean. And she was, in their eyes, or in physical eyes, a homely girl. But she was quite spiritual. That's a bad word. She was high in her capacity to love. And basically that's what is behind all beauty. Love. Can you see it? So my concepts of beauty did a flip-flop. The ones that I thought were, oh, they're the most, they're the greatest, turn out to be like mannequins. And others whom I would have thought horribly homely turned out to be beautiful. I was so at home anywhere and everywhere that in Dr. Schaefer's classes where he taught, always the finest. Everyone was so well dressed and so neat and so proper that I had the nerve to come in with a beard, my hair not combed, and dirty slacks on. Of course, everyone noticed it, but very properly, no one said a thing to me. But I sat there 100% at ease, in spite of all of them looking kind of daggered-eyed at me. I did it on purpose to prove to me I had no reaction, no ego left. I always held a maxim in the back of my mind that I only know that which I can do, which is an excellent check upon oneself. I only know that which I can do. And so I would do it, test it out. And if I did find any reactivity, I did find anything not up to perfection, I immediately went to work to correct it until it was the ultimate in that particular thing was achieved. I did everything to the extreme limit to be sure I had nothing left on it, no more hang-ups on any particular thing. The trip to LA was for the purpose of proving what I had discovered and knew. And always with that maxim, I only know that which I can do. I believe I went step by step from smaller to bigger and bigger things. That's what I was really doing. That was a big one. To walk out with any money and go to Los Angeles. Yeah, so I packed my bag, walked out of the apartment with absolute full confidence that I was on my way to Los Angeles. With no doubt that it would not happen. And so it did. And it's not a test, it's a proving. Test implies doubt. Any doubt would stop it from working. We're not without money because I wanted to prove I could have anything I wanted without money. Well, you don't need money to. When you demonstrate things, you never think of money. You never should think of money. Because instead of the thing, you'll end up with money. But thinking you need money to do things is a doubt. Really, higher consciousness determines for lower consciousness. That's why people serve me. Yet it's true for everyone. Whenever we think, every molecule in the universe moves to fulfill that thought. And I knew I was going into that movie. Most people think negatively and are creating that for themselves. Most people think with very much limitation and create that for themselves. But I was knowing I was going into that movie. I was so absolutely convinced that it had to happen. But there's only one mind, there's only one intelligence, and we are all in it. And so this man's mind was turned and tuned in my direction. Anyone who has the absolute conviction of anything causes that thing to come about. Anyone who has the absolute conviction that he can be a millionaire can be a millionaire. This requires no subconscious doubts to it, because the unconscious doubting would get in the way. When you're up in tune with the universal mind, in which everyone is in, your power of its use, your ability to use it, is greater, really, than others, and it affects them that way in your direction. It's a high state of love. You're swimming in a high sea of giddy, punch-drunkness in which everything, you love everyone, you could even go up and hug and kiss a tree. And that goes over to other people and causes them to want to love you and do things for you. I saw that love was doing for the other one what the other one wanted. It was a giving without any expectation of receiving for it. And here I was wanting something in return for my being nice. That was the reason why I was being nice. I wanted something. When I first knew Virginia, she had gotten very sick. And I dutifully visited her and spent a lot of hours with her when she was in not too attractive a condition. And she had thrown up on a chair, and I sat down in it. And she was so horrified and apologetic about it, and I very gallantly said, "Oh, that's nothing at all." I said, "I don't mind it one bit." And I just wiped my pants off and sat down. That was being nice to her, to win her over, and I knew it would, and it did. So I went back to the incident, this incident, and I saw that I was really very annoyed by it and very uncomfortable. And then I just acted as though it were nothing, only to win her. And when I saw this selfishness, I resolved, this I dump, this I let go of. And I did. And I changed the feeling right there and then of wanting to do this just to get her my way to one of just feeling love for her. Each time I would see these incidents, I would recognize, now originally I thought it was really love. I would first recognize that it wasn't love, and I would let go of that and then feel love for the girl or person, which is a nice feeling. You like and approve of that person the way they are. You accept them just as they are. That incident was a little souring of the sweet love. Instead of, then I knew I had it, I think it would be better to say, this was good news to me because, like in other things, I was able to carry it to the extreme. I could love people who were opposing me. I struggled to keep the businesses going, but inwardly I had lost interest. And I struggled because I knew that was the right thing to do. You don't take a going business and walk away from it. I went into it to make money, so I kept struggling. But at the time I was not aware that subconsciously I lost interest in it. Because subconsciously I was not getting what I wanted. I was seeking happiness. And when I was terribly involved in building up the business, I was so busy, I didn't have to bear with my own inner thoughts that I could not stand. When the business became successful, there was time on my hands. I wasn't plagued by the problems of it, like when I was building it up. And there was always a relief when those businesses collapsed. I remember there was always a relief. You see, at the time I wasn't aware of this happening. It was only after realization that I became aware that I was the cause of it collapsing. At the time I thought they did it to me. I blamed the hitching post on the war having started and business having dropped off for a period of time. I blamed the loss of the lumber business on the big operators dropping the price of lumber. But there's ways out of that, and I didn't take them. I wasn't really wanting to. I wasn't interested. But I wasn't aware of the fact at the time. If everyone were in harmony, there would be no waiting in line for tickets. There would be no one clamoring around a box office trying to get them. When everyone's in harmony, there are enough seats for everyone, and everyone walks right in without needing a ticket. You don't even have to pay for it. Nature provides in superabundance when we get in tune with it. There would never be such a thing as shortages. There's unlimited, infinite energy available to us, as well as a superabundance of everything we would want to use. That's when you're in tune with nature. Really, no effort is needed when you're in tune with nature. Effort's required when you're working against nature, when you're not in tune with it. This world was put here for our use and play. The idea of nature needing to be conquered is a very negative idea. What needs to be conquered is our negative ideas. And then only positive things happen. The only way to feel love is to love. You can't turn it on like a faucet. It's a process of dropping your hate. Hate and love are two opposites of a pole, and the more hate you have, the less love you have. So to get to love, you've got to drop hatred. This concept, well, I'm going to love this one. You can't love any more than you've got no hate in you. Agreeing with someone is more loving than disagreeing with them. That's all that means. But it doesn't show how to increase love. Everything I say is required and helps one increase love. Or I communicate with them. Talk to them. That helps. And that's lower level approach. For people to increase one's love, communicating with people helps. Why? Because first we recognize them. We're getting away from our self-centering when we do that. And then when we talk to them, we discover that they are like we are. And that helps us better identify with them, and identifying with them is love. And as we talk to them, strangeness drops away. And most of us fear the strange, the unknown. So talking with people tends to do away with the unknown and the strangeness of them. And therefore we feel more affinity for them, and they for us. So communicating with people is one way of increasing one's love.